Welcome back. It's still Breakfast Daily on City TV. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, we've been talking a lot about climate change, global warming, what's going on with the environment. And it's okay if you don't completely understand what it all means, because our personality today is someone who's been working in that space for over 10 years, just advocating for the environment, advocating for climate change and all the things that come with it, the problems that we are facing. So if you have any questions for him, let us know. The hashtag is Breakfast Daily and the WhatsApp line is 0550-585832. If you're outside Ghana, just use the country code +233. His name is Chibeze Ezekiel. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm okay.
Thank you so much for being with us.
My pleasure.
Now, when we say environmental activist, what does that mean, and how is that different from climate change?
Okay, good morning and hello to your cherished viewers. When we say environmental activist or activism, basically it's about promoting environmental sustainability. So whatever action must take, whatever initiative we need to do to protect our environment, that's all that activism is all about.
Okay.
But climate change is one component of the environment.
Okay.
So which has to do with basically how do we cut down our carbon emissions to ensure that we are not suffering for the impact that climate change brings. So basically so environment is broad and climate change is a component of the environment. How
did you get into this space?
It was in 2009
when
I got a chance to be trained by the World Bank and British Council. We were about 10 young people from 7 different African countries to be trained as youth master trainers on climate change. That was the first time I got introduced to the concept of climate change. It was held in Abuja. And one interesting thing was that after the training, we were all given $500 each to go to any community of our choice to also educate them on climate change.
What did you do with your $500?
We went to Ashalaja community to engage the chiefs, the elders on climate change, to create awareness and what they can do on their own to contribute to the fight against climate change. So we even did some tree planting exercises. We got some trees from the Ministry of Environment as their contribution, and to help them to understand what it means to fight climate change.
How difficult was it to explain it to the chiefs?
Even today, it's still difficult to explain climate change because there's a science aspect, there's also the developmental aspect. But we often prefer to go with the developmental aspect or social aspect, which is more open to the people to make them understand what it's all about. For example, if we, it's not even for example, but it's a reality that today we see changes in our weather patterns, the rainfall patterns. So what does it mean? What is contributing to that? The farmer must know why. Those in the fishing community, even today we understand that the fishes are now going deep into the sea because of the nature of the seawater is becoming warmer. So the fish need a conducive environment to survive. So the fisherman must understand that that's the reason why the fishes are going deep into the sea. So that helps them to understand the concept of climate change better. And those living in the north also, the issue is about this high temperature, heat stress, heat waves. What is the cause? So if somebody in the north is now experiencing more heat, the person can now appreciate if you tell the person about climate change. So we look at it more from the social aspect other than the scientific aspect. The scientific aspect is more for the elites and the,
But they're both very important.
They're both very important. Yeah,
so it sounds to me that you have a very bottom-up approach to things. So once you advocate about it, you get them to understand the problems. What's the next call to action for most of the people you engage?
Personally, I work more with young people. Because I see young people as change agents. Usually, if you look at those who are impacted by climate change, we talk about children, we talk about the men, we talk about the women, we talk about the young people. But young people are not only vulnerable to the impact of climate change, but they can also be the change agents in the fight against climate change. So the question is, how do we harness these young people? They have the skills, they have the abilities, they have the energy. So how do you harness those qualities to also make them meaningful, contributors to the fight against climate change? So that's what I do, empowering young people so they can bring their strength, their skills to bear. If for nothing at all, today, if you talk about social media, it's controlled by young people. So what can they use those resources to do as part of their contribution to the fight against climate change?
So how do you get an 8-year-old in Adabraka to care about climate change activism?
It is quite difficult it depends on the approach that one wants to adopt. We have a concept we developed in September 2019 as part of the Global September Climate March. We call it the Children for Climate Action. So we took a step back to now focus on children, those behind us, for want of a better word. So we have children in schools, we take them through climate change, and then we ask them in their own small way, how do they want the world to be like? For example, years ago you could see butterflies in your neighborhood. There are some nice insects we see around us, but these days we don't see them anymore. What is happening? We are losing
the
those.
Ladybug. We used to see the ladybug.
No, we are losing them.
Kids.
We only see them in books or sometimes on screen. But we need to see them. What do we do? To bring them back. So we engage children, for them to have that understanding and what they can do in their own small way, to see what they can do. And once we get them in school, now they live in homes, they live in communities, they go to churches, so they can use that knowledge to influence their peers. Wow.
Now, when someone hears your name, obviously they think that, okay, Niger man has come to Ghana to preach about the environment. Where did you grow up?
I was born in Ghana.
Wow.
My mom is Ghanaian. She comes from Simpe. So I say Agent Shona, Simpe typically. And my dad is Nigerian. I was born here, so I've lived all my life in Ghana. What was life like as a child? Where did you grow up? I grew up in Adabraka.
Okay, so right here, you're home.
Yes. I grew up in Adabraka, and then I went to Kokomimle. That's where my mom lived. Okay. And then to Latebio Koshi, and I'm now at Awoshi. Who lived here with you in Adabraka? My dad and my siblings, our family, yes. Okay. In Adabraka, yeah.
What was the move like from Adabraka to Kokomimle to be with your mom?
It was not too far, Kokomimle it's not too far from here.
You can walk there.
Yeah, you could just walk there. So it was fun. So it was my dad, that's my mom's own house at Kokomimle. Okay. So she was there permanently, but my dad had to rent, so anytime he wants to change environment or change location, we moved with him. Okay, and what did you do for fun as a kid?
Hopefully nothing against the environment.
No. When we talk about, and these are some of the issues people raise, you say, okay, you're an environmentalist, why are
that means you have to be born as an environmentalist.
Why are you eating this? Why are you eating fish? Why are you chewing meat?
You should be vegan.
But we tell them what, we call it sustainable consumption. So once you consume, you reproduce.
Sustainably.
You sustain, yes. So it's like tree cutting. Okay, you can't stop you from felling trees, but as we fell the trees, plant trees.
Plant trees. Yeah, so again, what did you do for fun as a kid? Because now you're being diplomatic about the answer. And your childhood friends are watching you now.
there are games that I don't see anymore. Chaskele. True. Jiloke Police. Bonimaye.
Wow.
You know Bonimaye?
No, tell us.
Yeah,
Tell us about it.
I'm a Gan.
I grew up in Kumasi, so I don't know much about Gan
So,
games.
it's like...
we played Ampe and...
Your mom spends the whole time cook food for you. And what's about to you, I just shout, Bonimaye. So you pretend as if you are dead.
Oh, why?
Yeah, take your food and eat. It's a game.
Okay.
Or Chimpe.
I know Chimpe. Yeah, I didn't like that game though.
Yeah, so that was fun. Or Aligoto. No,
we had a lot of games.
Oh yeah. These days we don't see them
have
anymore.
kids on their tablets playing video. But we used to play Super Mario as kids too, so
we need to go back to those days.
True.
It helps in community,
building.
Yes.
True. What school did you go to? What high school did you go to?
The best school in West Africa, Accra
West
Academy.
Africa? Which school?
Accra Academy.
You really? You wouldn't even say Accra.
West Africa.
The whole of West Africa. How was your experience like there?
For the first time, that was.
And we're looking at a picture of you with your sunglasses, feeling yourself.
Those I was. Tupac was my,
inspiration. You wanted to be like Tupac. Really?
At the point, I had to shave my whole hair to look like Tupac.
What was your favorite Tupac?
Dear Mama.
Oh, wow. What about it spoke to you?
How he reverenced his mom, he appreciated his mother. Yeah. I mean, in spite of his gangsterism, I think that track alone for me was. And that even made me again tune into Obrafo. He also had a similar track.
Wow. But how was your Accra experience?
For the first time, I found myself in a boys' school, and that was fun. So we had new friends, just boys trying to do things in our own way. And I think that was the time that I started exploring. You know,
what did you explore with exactly?
because in boys' school, like I said, you know, to park and the rest, you know, you have boys from different.
So are the rumors true
that
Akaka people explore with certain things? So what do you mean by exploring? You're the one saying it. I'm asking the questions.
You know, because it's a drastic shift from junior high school
to senior high
school, because there's some level of freedom, even though it's what
you're still a teenager.
Yeah, you know. So I mean, you are still exploring. You want to see what life is all about. And those days we had, you know, I'm not sure how it came about. Where, for example, boys' school, they tell you this is your girls, you know.
The school, yes.
St. Mary's. So that was at Kasima. So we had this, you know, group at Kasima. So intercore was something that I never want to miss.
Really? What did you like about it?
While some were busy running on the track, you know, and some were also Shin Jama, we did that a while, and then we also have to look at the other social aspects.
Which were?
To put life into a customer, at least for the you know, St. Mary's ladies.
And how did you do that?
I mean, you know, so because first of all, you have been given if you like, the opportunity that a customer. So once you hit, you know, the intercore, you know, grounds, you see the St. Mary's lady in a cracker shirt. In fact, we had people wearing our shirt who were not even students of our cracker.
So some random boy from somewhere.
Yeah, you know, just in a cracker shirt. You know, the morale
comes with all the swag and the confidence.
Yeah, so at least you are very sure that you can get a customer, a lady from St. Mary's.
Wow. And what did that mean for you as a teenager?
Well, that was the first time I started attempting to have a relationship. So I think I found a girl at St. Mary's, I remember.
You want to shout out to her, wherever she is? Or we want to save that one?
I want to save one.
What did you study in school?
Tertiary?
Yeah, I know. What did you major? SS, were you doing?
I read business.
Okay, business.
It was
nice.
influenced by my dad.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about him made you decide, okay, I'm going to go down the same path and do business?
My dad was into second-hand clothing.
Okay.
They call it Okarika in Nigeria. In fact, they were the first group of people who introduced the business to Ghana.
Wow.
He came to Ghana because of that business.
Okay.
So that was what he was doing, you know, all his life when he was in Ghana. So among his children, he felt that I could be the person to take over.
All right.
You know.
What was it about you that made him think that?
I don't know. So I don't know why. I mean, for some reason. So even when I went to school and we go on vacation, he would always take me to the office, you know, to see how the business is being done, etc. So I mean, from Accra, I read business, and even after that, I had to go and do a professional course in marketing. Okay. You know, or to prepare me to take over his business, if you like. Did
you eventually take over the business?
I didn't, because my interest changed along the line. You know, when I got introduced to this social work and you know climate change activism.
How did you explain that to him?
Initially, it was very challenging because it was not. If you know about Igbos, it's about money. Every Igbo man is about business. It's about money making. That's why they say in Nigeria, the Yorubas are always into school. They're always reading.
They're the book-long people.
They're book-long people. After the Igbo is money. Actual Igbo, it's money. So I mean, you are doing environmentalism, you are doing social work, and they are intangibles, abstract, advocacy.
How does that put money in your pockets?
You know, so it doesn't see, you know, what is it? It wants to see you buying and selling. You've gone to Nigeria, you have bought this, you are selling it for this price. That's what he wants to see. So it was quite difficult, and it was also kind of semi-literate. So how do I? But at the point he told me that, okay, if that's what I want to do, then I should go ahead. How was that first conversation with him? How did you get the courage to even tell him about this new path that you want to take? Well, because at the point I was not giving him the attention that he expected, like, you know, the business interest, you know, what is happening and all that. And the other factor was that at that time, you know, business was not booming as it used to be. So, you know, even for him, there was, you know, I think for some economic reason or some, you know, if you like, business factors, it was almost collapsing. So there was not even much capital to even invest into the business. So I must also, of course, look at ways of trying to, enhance my life. So it was quite difficult initially, but I think when I started making progress in my line of work, and you started seeing the results, especially when it saw me traveling a lot. Aww. Because it didn't happen. Traveling to this country, that country. Okay, so then then there's something good coming out of it. So that was when he gave me his blessings.
At what point did you know that I'm on the right path and this is my life's mission?
It was when I think the training that I had from the World Bank in 2009, and then there was a similar training again in Turkey, Istanbul in 2013. And that was when I realized that, that is my turning point, that I want to be a climate activist. It gives me satisfaction, it gives me happiness, it gives me joy, at any time, even when I'm deep asleep, and you call me, let's go out and do some advocacy work, I'm prepared to do it. So that was the turning point. Yeah, that was the turning point for me.
Now, when you are in, let's say, the Western world, people understand climate activism. You have a place to recycle, there's free water for you to put in your bottle so you don't throw your bottle away. It's easy for people to grasp. You go to a shop and you have to pay 5 cents extra if you want to take the bag, to encourage you to bring your own baskets to shop. But in our environment, it looks like we have bigger problems like bread and butter issues, poverty. So when you talk about climate activism, it just goes right over our head.
Yeah. What
will we need to do to get to a point where it's part of who we are?
Okay, so initially I mentioned that climate change is not just an environmental issue, but we can also look at it from the developmental perspective. We want to develop as a country. So how then do we develop, sustainably? And then so those of us doing climate change bring some ideas that in implementing those ideas, we are developing at the same time also pursuing climate action. For example, if you want to put up a house or a structure, you can build a house in such a way that you attract the sunlight into the room.
Like this?
Yes, into the office. So you end up spending less on energy. So it's a development you are building. You want to build a house. Nobody's stopping from building a house. But in building a house, you can build in such a way that you depend on the sunlight for light, so you can save some energy. Okay. That's one aspect. So it's a win-win situation. And then we also have what do you call it? There's a system, water, I think years ago, it was being introduced to some assemblies where, especially in communities where water is scarce, when people use their washroom and they flush the facility, instead of water going away, technology-wise, there's a way to
filter it,
bring it back, so that you don't end up losing water. Because water is becoming scarce because of climate change. So so these are some interventions we can do, deliberately. So you may not see that as climate change per se, but it's development. We are growing, we are putting on structures, and all that. But in so doing, let us also ensure that we are also meeting our climate action. So that's what we always strive to do.
How do we get to a point where we embrace parts of us that naturally benefits the environment? Because when I look at the way we eat our wache, for instance, with leaves, that's great. In a few years ago, you don't have to put it and also put plastic on it, versus pouring the rice directly into a plastic container. We used to do that back in the day. Now I see people in other parts of the world talking about deliberately building mud huts because it's good for the environment, and I'm like, our ancestors did that, and we look down on it as something that's backward.
That's right.
There's so many things we can look at in our environment that we take for granted.
That's true.
The other people now are, even before we started flushing toilets, the kind of things that we used to do directly into the ground, and they see all of that. They have all these cute terminologies to it. But those are the things we look at, and we are ashamed, and we want to adopt the things that the Western world is now trying to leave. How do we merge the two?
I think it's a challenge, because I don't have evidence to this, but that's what I heard, that sometimes the one who gives you money can also dictate what you use the money for. For example, I know one founder that when they give you money, you want to buy a car, they must tell you which supplier to buy the car from.
Well, that's our developmental issues. Countries bring us money, and the money stays with them because their companies have to implement the project.
Yes, they even tell you who to engage as a consultant. You know, so in that regard, of course, you are likely to do what will make them happy.
But we should also be able to think critically as a people.
So that's why we must start looking within. You know, what can we do on our own? You know, domestic mobilization, using our own resources without falling on the West. I mean, for me, that's the only solution to it.
Walk us through some of the projects you've participated in and launched as part of your activism.
We've done, one of the things we did in the past, if you like, the key highlight has to do with a campaign we led against the government wanted to build a coal plant in 2013. That was when the idea came up, and then it came out publicly in 2015. So we led a campaign against that, saying that coal is not good for Ghana, and that we think renewable energy is a better alternative. So that was quite successful. Not quite, but very successful. Beyond that, we are also pursuing renewable energy engagement at the community level. We've launched a Youth Renewable Energy Movement campaign. Youth
Renewable Energy Movement campaign.
Yes, to educate young people on renewable energy, so they can also go to communities and also engage people in the community on renewable energy.
What is renewable energy?
Renewable energy are, infinite sources of energy. That means they don't get finished. They are quote unquote everlasting. Like the sun, like the sea, like the wind. I mean, they are always with us. Unlike fossil fuel, which are finite, like coal or oil and gas. Because when they finish, they are finished. You can't do anything about it again. But renewable energy are always with us. So so that's what we call sustainable energy. So once they are always with us, how can we tap into them to give us the kind of energy we need to develop, as a country or a continent?
So like solar panels.
Solar panels, wind energy, geothermal. Biofuel, biogas, etc.
Okay. What else? Because you've won a lot of prizes for some of your work. You're being modest right now, but
no, we are actually also developing a youth strategy for climate action in Ghana.
Okay.
We want a major shift in how government and other stakeholders engage young people.
Okay.
I mean, the convention that government normally decides on behalf of young people. But we want to change the narrative where the government can think or decide with young people. So we are coming out with a strategy where to inform government and other stakeholders how they can engage the youth, or how they ought to engage the youth in the climate actions in Ghana. So that's one to that. And recently, just about a week ago, we did a youth in renewable energy entrepreneurship workshop, where we brought young people who are entrepreneurs, in renewable energy, to engage them with the policymakers, Energy Commission, Energy Ministry, Ministry of Environment, to see how they can support them to upskill their business. And what we are doing is to not only advocacy in terms of the intangibles, but taking practical actions, employment issues. It's a major challenge for all government. And so how can we as young people also demonstrate, create employment for our young people, thereby taking the burden off the neck of government. So these are some few projects I can remember offered now.
What drives you?
What drives me is I think that I want to see a better world. The world that I want, or the world I want to see. Sometimes when you travel, you see, and I love nature. There are times that I go to the seaside, just to observe the sea, or to the forest, or the birds, or the trees, even the environment, the freshness of the air. I'm not sure whether you've been to the villages. If you go to forest areas, the smell, the
it's
aroma,
different. I mean, I try to go to the rural areas.
And it's very helpful for every human being's well-being, because there's something about the environment. But if you live in an environment where there's so much pollution, there's so much noise, it affects even your well-being. Wow. So if we talk about a better world, if we don't get it at our stage, I think our children deserve better.
How do we all get on board to be activists in our own small ways?
I think that usually, and this is one argument that that often happens between those who are for and those who are against. If I say against, usually it's the fossil fuel industry. Those who are looking at the profit, the business. So they don't mind cutting down trees, doing galamsey, because it brings them money. It's about profit. But we're saying, well, I mean, nobody's stopping you from making money, but is there a way
to make it sustainable?
Still do your business, still do your tree cutting or the tree felling, but can you plant trees? Can you do something to sustain the whole idea? So, and I think that everybody must have an interest. The environment is all we have. Once we destroy the environment today, that means our future, will be in serious trouble. So we all have a role to play, if for nobody at all, at least for yourself and for your unborn generation. How
do we join in some of the works that you have?
For us, we are focused on young people.
Okay. So I'm not your target market.
No, you're my. I'm sure you have younger siblings, that.
Yes. So all the young people.
The young people, yeah. And one of the things we are trying to do is that we want to showcase that young people also have what it takes to bring about development, and the fact that young people can also make their voices heard, gives them some form of motivation. So personally, I encourage all young people that, okay, I mean, it doesn't matter who you are, where you live, you have something that can add or contribute to the environmental sustainability, intervention. So I think that people must, fortunately, if you go online, there are different groups, some are into what they call it, plastics.
Yeah.
Some go to the beach and clean the beach. So I encourage people, volunteer, join a group, form a group, volunteer, dedicate your time and energy, clean the environment, let's plant trees. For children, we are starting with them with flowers.
Flowers?
Yeah.
That's fun.
So when a child plants a flower, the child owns the flower. The flower grows, and then when the child grows, that knowledge can be transferred to trees. So they can plant trees and own the tree and all that.
What kind of skills do you develop as a result of participating in stuff like this as a kid?
One skill that I deliberately have to develop is about policy engagement. It's a very difficult, if you like, terrain to be part of, especially if government has to develop policies, come out with legislation, it's very technical. And you hardly find young people in that particular field because it's very technical. And people want the easy way out, like going to the street, planting trees, which is good. But if you want change to happen, you have to be in the test. Because whatever you do must have a reference point. That's why even in the upcoming conference, at COP26, which will take place in Glasgow in November. So it's not just about going there and shouting. We want climate change. We want to fight climate change. We want climate ambition. But it's important to be part of the negotiation. That whatever you want done must be in the test, so that you can hold government accountable with the test. So for me, that was the policy level that I spent much time developing myself around.
Where do we follow you on social media?
Twitter, Chibeze1. Instagram, Chibeze123. I'm also on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah, and LinkedIn.
Strategic Youth Network for Development. How do we get in touch?
Yeah, so SYND Ghana on all the social media handles.
Thank you so much, Chibeze, for being with us.
My pleasure.
You're super cool, because usually when you hear of environmental activists, they're just so judgmental. But you're not one of them.
No, I mean, again, see if people you shut people away.
Yeah.
Make it
so there's a spectrum.
Yeah, and
you fall in the moderate.
Yeah, I mean, make the exciting so people can join
look forward to. And I like the developmental aspect of it, because sometimes the scientific one, people get lost in all the jargon.
Totally.
So, thank you. We wish you the best, and I hope that all of us will be inspired. Today, if you're going to buy your watch, don't put it in a plastic, try and put it in a leaf. My friend Benjamin is trying to build a house. He's considering using mud huts instead of, all these other things. Rolex would like sunlight, but I don't think he can afford the glass yet. So it's okay. Wherever it is that you are in your life, there's something you can do that's a bit more environmentally friendly and sustainable.